Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Growing Up is Overrated podcast. My name is T, and I'm here with my friend and co-host Jen. Consuming online media is a staple in many of our daily routines. Sometimes a healthy enjoyment of content turns into a replacement for in-person friendships or fulfilling our goals. It's time to talk about our relationship with YouTube. Now, into the podcast. Hi, Jen. Welcome back.
Hi, T. How's it going?
It's going all right. I've been doing lots of arts and cleaning and enjoying some nice YouTube channels that have been relaxing me lately. How about yourself?
I feel that though. Like I need to clean more. Looking around my space. But I have been experimenting a lot with what I'm listening to while working these days. So I've been on YouTube like the weirdest thing I think I've watched or listened to rather while working lately was a walk through Manhattan while raining. And like you could hear like people's conversations and stuff. Like that was interesting.
That when you showed that to me, you were like, "Oh, I know this is weird, but blah 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 blah." And I was like, "No, dude, I've been watching these. I've been watching these like all year." Because I got into GeoGuessr with my boyfriend. And which is a game where you like they drop you on Google Maps and there's different parameters, like some of them allow you to like go down the block, but some of them keep you where you're plopped down and you can only look around 360. And so you have to guess where in the world you are on the map.
Where
and so
from San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. So an iteration of this has been actually people upload those kinds of videos where like you're just walking around a city or whatever and you have to try to guess as quick as you can where you are walking around in the video.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And I think a lot of people got really interested in it because, you know, with COVID you couldn't like travel anywhere really, or you shouldn't. Well, you know, there were restrictions. So, you know, a lot of people were using these videos as a way to feel a sense of normal life and travel. And you know, it sufficed for what it was. So, yeah, I don't think those are really that weird. And like the ambiance of the rain and stuff is really nice. Like in the one that you sent me.
Yeah, I'm someone who really like I need white noise of some type while working. Whether that be like bird noises or rain, just something like that is really helpful. But yeah, YouTube is such an interesting place because you have videos like that, and then you got like more personality driven YouTube, you got gaming, beauty YouTube, lifestyle stuff, family stuff. There's so many different areas of YouTube.
Pet tube, book tube, study tube. Yeah, I have dabbled in many of them. Right now, this is my weird YouTube like thing right now is watching people restore like leather bags, like luxury goods, and shoes. And it kind of just makes me really appreciate like if you buy something and it's worth a lot of money, you're going to take care of it better, you know? Like taking care of your items instead of allowing them to just go to the wayside and then, you know, just throwing them away instead of fixing them. Like if you can find signs of them like wearing early, then you can actually extend the life of the item that you bought, which is, you know, great for the environment and great for your wallet. But besides the point, they're very relaxing. ASMR without whispering. There's no whispering. I don't like the whispering.
I don't understand whispering
I
either. I'm
don't
like, "What is
understand
wrong with you?"
whispering noises make me cringe, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
But if you like them, that's fine. But yeah, that's been kind of my thing. It's been really relaxing, and I'll just, like, fall asleep watching them. Um,
Yeah,
but
I don't listen to ASMR to, like, go to sleep or that kinda stuff. I listen to it while
mhm,
working, so it's like
mhm,
fire crackling noises.
right.
The great ones are, like, the ones that are themed around a specific franchise, like Harry Potter ASMR is interesting
Mhm.
because 'cause they'll, like, have, like, pictures of, like, Hogwarts or whatever and the rain. It's all very nice.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
besides that, I found a one of the things that I really praise YouTube for is the ability to be an educational platform.
Mm,
I learned so much on YouTube. I
mhm,
found this guy who's, city planner, and he talks
yeah,
about urban planning, which is a
mhm,
topic that I know nothing about. So
really.
it's really cool to learn about city planning and, like, why some cities work and some cities don't, or
Yeah,
and, like, the historical reasons why some places are set up the way they are,
uh-huh,
is all really interesting to me.
I agree.
So, like, there's that, and then you've got, like, educational YouTube with, Crash Course, love Crash
Mhm,
Course. Uh, just all of it is really, really good.
yeah. Yeah, I really think that it's one of the best places to create communities as well, for like-minded people. Um, so I I I feel like a lot of like, the internet is great for this in general, but I think that YouTube has one of the best, like it's one of the best at making that feeling between a create content creator and the viewer or listener, and making it feel like they're your friend.
Mhm.
Um, like, seeing a video of somebody is way different from, like, seeing an Instagram picture
Or reading a blog.
or reading a blog, definitely more than reading a blog. Like, blogs have their places, and I used to be really big into reading a couple, but, I've fallen off of that. Um, but yeah, like, if people are in a similar stage of life to you, like, maybe you're, um, you know, kind of like this is our little pocket of people who are emerging into adulthood, um, or are, at the beginning of adulthood, and, we're trying to figure things out together, like, that's kind of, a lot of the goal with, the content that we create. But
Mhm.
I think that a lot of that is because we have found that sense of camaraderie almost with other content creators who are in similar life situations, like packing to, go to college, or starting to like packing a bag to go and move, um, or not move, but like to go on a trip. Like I used to love
Mhm.
watching people pack their suitcases to go on vacations because I just wanted to
Mhm.
be so good and efficient at, like, packing a suitcase, but then, like, those videos turned into me going, "Well, I like the vibe of this person, and I want to see what other content they create," and then I'm like, "Oh, wow, you're interested in art, and you're interested in, you know, minimal beauty products that aren't like, just caking your face, like, like, this is another interest of mine that we share, and you just kind of branch off from something simple as, like, how do you pack your suitcase? You know?
Totally, like, I think that YouTube is really interesting because unlike relationships with traditional, celebrities, YouTubers part of the brand of being a YouTuber is being relatable.
Yep.
Once you
Hashtag
stop being
relatable.
once you stop being relatable, people stop being interested in you. Like,
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I
there's a
agree.
threshold where if you cross it, then all of a sudden you are too big,
Mhm.
and you are no longer a YouTuber, you are now a celebrity, which is
Right.
different in
Right.
people's heads.
Right.
Um, and especially for small YouTubers, like, you get the initial crowd that's into small YouTubers because they get more attention from the creator. Like, people
Uh-huh.
respond to comments, or they are more attentive to different sections of their audience because it's small enough to handle, and then as
Right.
it grows, people fa those initial au that initial audience falls off because
Mhm.
they aren't as invested in being a fan of someone who everybody's a fan of.
Mhm.
But, like, that's YouTube in a nutshell, but, like, what I think the other thing that I think is interesting is YouTube is a real place of wish fulfillment,
Mhm.
um, where you, the normal person, quote unquote normal person, sitting on the other side of the screen can watch somebody do what you've always wanted to do and can't do. Whether it's because you're too young to do it, or you don't have the money to do it, or or other life aspects get in the way, you can see somebody else doing what you want and then put
Yeah.
yourself in their shoes and be like, have that moment of imaginary fun. Like,
Right.
for me, when I was in high school, all I wanted to do was go to college. I was so excited, to go to college, and specifically about dorm living and moving out and living on my own. I was
Uh-huh.
very, very excited about that. So, I would watch so many different YouTubers and have their packing lists for what they were bringing for their freshman year of college. I took
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah.
I I, um, like, I planned this for, like, a year out, what I thought that I wanted, and I saw so many of them, and I was so very excited, and only one of those many YouTubers that I watched do I still follow to this day. One
Mhm.
of them. I just was not interested in any of their other content. I just wanted to see all of the college stuff that they were doing to get ready to
Right.
move in.
Yeah, and then they moved on with their lives and, just kinda like a friendship, like, there's a time and a place for consuming that content, but then, as people change, maybe those 2 people aren't benefiting each other anymore, so
Mhm. Like, in one of the YouTubers, the only vlogger that I follow consistently has just had, like, very similar connections to my life. Like, I watched their stuff for their college vlogs, and their college vlogs were a few years old by the time that I watched them. And then I
yeah.
realized that currently they were in Washington, DC, which is where was going at the
Mhm.
time. So I continued to watch their vlogs, and they were in DC for a few years while I was there, and then they moved to New York, which is where I wanted to be. So that just like, it happened to be that their life is very similar to what I wanted.
Sure.
So I ended up keeping watch like, New York City vlogs. I've seen so many New York City vlogs in this past year and before that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how, like, we could watch the same content and have totally different takes on it.
Mhm.
Because like, I see a New York City vlog and I'm like, "Wow, they worked really hard to get that little shoebox." But that's something that you want that little shoebox in New York, and that's great? Like,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I like having space, I like, having dedicated space to do my hobbies if I can, so that's something that I would like to do is live in a place that has enough or, like, that real estate is affordable enough for me to have not just a bedroom and a kitchen, um, and maybe a little living room or something, but, like, I want to have, like, not as big as a house because a house is too much, but I wanna be able to have at least something that I can dedicate to, like, a hobby space because I have a lot of hobbies.
Have a lot of
Um,
hot.
yeah, so but, like, YouTube is part of why I have so many hobbies, like, I just end up getting I ask a question and then I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's so cool," and then I'm like, "Wow, they do that. I wanna do this too." So now I'm like, making anime glass paintings and stuff. I'm like, "Okay, I never thought I'd do that," but, like I mean, I am a painter, but it's just something totally that I just get on these kicks and I start doing something that's really artsy or,
Mhm.
getting tons of plants and, like, learning about how to take care of the plants, and then I don't know. So it goes into this whole thing of me just having lots of interests, and I think that watching a lot of older adults have fewer hobbies, um, is a little bit of a drive for that as well. But, I do end up feeling a lot of that friendship feeling from being interested in a similar thing, and then I feel like a lot of the time this ends up making me feel like, um, I'm getting my friendship needs met in a sense from somebody on a screen, and I think that that is something that I had more of an issue with, like, allowing YouTube to be enough of a friendship, um, for me when I was, like, 18 or,
Mhm.
like, 23, like, 18 to 23. I feel like I was really invested in YouTubers and their lives, and, just knowing that there were people out there who were like me, because here it's like I try to talk to people, and I feel like they just aren't on the same page with me about, like, anything.
Mhm.
So, like, that's something that I can get a sense of, is like, wow, there are people out there in the world who are interested in similar things to me and don't just think that the only thing to do is hike and kayak. Um, like, everyone's like, "Wow, you're by the mountains, like, just go to the mountains," and I'm like, "I don't
Mhm.
they're pretty, but I don't wanna go there. There's spiders and snakes and mountain lions." Like, I'm good, like,
Mhm.
um, so, yeah, I don't know, like, that when I really recognized that, I was like, "Wow, like, my only friends are YouTubers, and I'm not actually friends with them. This is a one-sided relationship." Like,
Mhm.
and that was, like, when I was like, "You know what? I need to stop watching YouTube so much, and I need to go out, and I need to go talk to more people." Um, and I was
Yeah.
I was just sitting there complaining going, "I don't have any friends." Like, "Why don't I have any friends? Nobody wants to be friends with me." I'm like, "T, you're not outside, like, go see people." And, then I realized, wow, all these people who I play volleyball with are actually my friends. But
Mhm.
it's, like, on a different level to something like what I've gotten from my internet friends like you. Like, there's a connection over more similar lifestyle, you know,
Mhm.
that you just might not get if you're not living in an area that the culture is, exactly what you wanna be, uh, like, working with.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. Like, when I was in high school, I didn't have any gaming friends. Um, so the only enjoyment that I got out of, like, I've supplemented my gaming friends with gaming YouTube,
Right.
and I would watch people play games and get invested in their personalities, like, and the cheap group that I watched a lot was Achievement Hunter, if anybody out there knows who Achievement Hunter is. And they were so much fun to me, and they became my friends. And they're
Mhm.
still going to this day, but I noticed that I've stopped watching them. And there are a
Right.
couple reasons for that. If you Google Achievement Hunter, you might find out one of the reasons. But the biggest reason is that I just fell off of it because I found real life gaming friends.
Right.
So I didn't
Yep.
need to supplement my need of gaming friends with YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that's what I was doing. I didn't realize that
Mhm.
I was trying to fill a void until the void was filled, and I looked back and I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh,
Wow.
that's why that's why I was obsessed."
Mhm.
It wasn't anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally relate to that. I think that um I tend to just be very introspective a lot, so I'm always like, "Why am I doing this? Why is this occurring in my life?" So I'm just always I've been like this since I was a little kid. So, um, but yeah, like, for me, um, it was, like, a lot of just art channels and family vlogs, but, like, the hard thing about family vlogs is, like, I've very much changed my idea about family vlogs. Um, and it really hurts my heart to see, like, what they have become, because a lot of them started as just like small kind of, oh wow, we want to share what our experience was to have our first child and our second child and grow our family, and like it starts off at least
Mhm.
seeming really innocent, and just like, we want you to know that like these women's issues while you're you're doing family planning are real. And then you're like, wow, great. I'm glad that, like, me as somebody who I love kids. My degree is in, like, essentially child like psychology and how kids learn and develop. And so, like, I'm just always very interested in case studies in that way. And so, like, when I first started watching them, it was really like a case study, like, um, what happens to this kid when they move across the country, and like their accent, like what accent are they going to end up having? Like, that's something, like, those are the kinds of things that I was watching for, which is, I don't think that's the common
No,
way
I
that
don't
people
think it
consume family vlogs at all, but like, that's fine. And I don't know, it's just really sad to see a lot of them that have blown up have just gotten really weird. Like,
Yeah.
and like, it's like they start to expose their children, and like, in the beginning when it's kind of they started being accused of it, it was like, no, people are just kind of wrongly accusing them of this, and they're just sharing their lives, and they intend to wean, like, to like wean the audience off of seeing their kids as the kids get older, to have them have like more um
Autonomy?
privacy and autonomy, yeah, like. And so, but then you kind of see and you're like, oh wow, like, that, your kid is going through this issue, and you're kind of, there's a fine line between sharing it because it's something that other people need to know about so that they don't feel alone if they're going through it too, and exposing your child. Because,
Mhm.
like, there's a lot of things where it's like, you know what, when that kid is old enough, they can choose to share their story, but until they're old enough, it's not your story to share.
Exactly. It's really morally complicated, family vlogs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those children, like, do they really have a choice of what they share? And are parents respecting their children's privacy? And do children even have, like, and then you get into, like, do children even have privacy rights? Like, what, like, can a parent, like, post
Mm.
stuff to Facebook? Like, and my opinion, of course, is, of course, they have privacy rights, but, like, it's I
Right.
don't think that's not a universal opinion.
Right.
Um, uh, but it is morally and ethically questionable. And there are
Yeah.
other
Well,
things that are morally and ethically questionable on YouTube. Um,
totally.
people are watching, and
Totally.
it's just different when those moral and ethical issues involve children, 'cause they're like, the consent is weird with children.
Yeah, well, and it's also really disheartening when, like, you look up to somebody and you're like, "Wow, they've," because what they've shared is their highlight reel, or like
Mhm.
what they want you to see, and you start looking up to them, and then you're like disillusioned when some crazy thing comes out about them being like, you know, maltreating their kids, or, like, trying to be with minors or something. Like, just, like,
Mhm.
some really crazy and dark stuff that, like, you're just like, it just it just shatters you, because 'cause you're like, "I just want someone to look up to
Yeah,
who's
that's the
actually
worst.
quality."
It is the worst. It's a very similar feeling to how people felt with the whole Me Too movement, with, like, finding
Mm,
out that actors that they really
mm,
enjoyed were part of this issue, this larger issue that the entertainment industry is having, and how you suddenly have this urge inside of you, and you're like, "But I liked this person and I liked their work."
right,
But on
right.
some ways, it's even deeper because you feel a more personal connection with the YouTuber.
Uh-huh,
So it feels more like a personal betrayal.
sure.
And I think I bet that a lot of people out there have had a moment where somebody that they've watched on YouTube and invested in has done something, and
Mhm,
then they have to question their feelings towards it. And I struggle with that, in that there are a lot of YouTube videos that I remember really fondly that have somebody in
Mhm.
them that I now know isn't a great person,
Yeah.
but those videos for me have a lot of meaning and, like, really brightened up my life for many years. So I
Yeah.
still watch them, even though I
Mm.
know that the person in them isn't a good person, and I probably shouldn't be watching them anymore.
Yeah.
I don't watch new stuff because 'cause they're no longer making new content, but the old stuff is still there, and I can still find it, and it still brings me joy, and I wonder if that makes me a bad person, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's that black and white. Um, that's that's a really interesting topic that I wasn't really expecting to talk about today, but, so maybe we table it, but
Yeah, we can.
I mean, just that the idea of, like, the social justice warrior online of, like, cancel culture kinda stuff,
Mhm.
is
Yeah,
really it is part of this conversation, but, I think that we might be able to
we can put a
hash
pin in
that
that.
out. Yeah, I think we're gonna put a pin in that, and, I think that we could definitely talk more at length about all of that.
Absolutely,
Um
but, like, this is getting into, like, where we're talking about, like, how you deal with YouTube now. Like, what are some ways
Mhm,
that we look at YouTube when consuming it to avoid having these kind of conflicts in the future? And, like, one of the things that you have to remind yourself is that everybody's putting on their best face.
mhm,
No one's really showing you who they are, really.
right.
They're showing you the highlight reel of their life.
Yeah,
And that
just like anybody else on social media.
exactly. So they're not your friend. They are putting content on the internet to try to get views and try to make money. And of course, it's not all that cynical. Like people do put things up because they enjoy it, but it's not because they want to make a friendship with you personally.
Yeah, yeah, like, they're not handpicking you the same way that, like, a real friend would, um, choose to engage in a relationship with you as an
Mhm.
individual because, um, I'm really interested to see the psychology, of that because 'cause I'm sure there's people doing, like, studies on the psychology of relationships with large amounts of people, through social media because there's a lot of, like, social media psychology popping up, in the last, like, 5-10 years. Um, but, yeah, so that's really interesting to me, but I think yeah, like, they're not your friends, and so, you can get ideas from them, like, that's great. You can use them as sort of like a vision board. Um, if I'm sure most people know what a vision board is, but, just, like, saying, "This is something I aspire to, and I'm going to look at what it takes for me to have a certain lifestyle or, a certain goal met."
Mhm.
And so you can use it for inspiration. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to understand that, you know, they are a person interacting with a large group of people.
Mhm. And
So,
also and the other part that I won't get too deep into this because this is a topic that I could go on for hours, but reminding
another
yourself
pin.
yes, another pin, but reminding yourself that vloggers in particular are sponsored people who get paid to
Yeah,
do content. That goes for things that what they advertise on their channels. Even if they say, I'm not sponsored by this," it's still an advertisement.
yeah.
Like, and you just remind yourself that when you're consuming the content that you are constantly being advertised to.
Mhm.
Um, and just don't let yourself believe that don't fall into the trap of like, "Oh, they're my friend and making me a recommendation." No,
Right.
they are a person trying to sell you a product,
Yep, because it's their lifestyle or it's their livelihood,
job. And
you know?
I'm not blaming them for doing that. That's not me throwing shade at people who do sponsorships or anything
No,
like
no, no,
that.
no.
But it's just to recognize that it is their job to sell
Right.
you things. And
Yeah,
that is okay.
right. One of my favorite vloggers. She she always says, "Protect your coin first, you can put this, like, if this is something you're interested in right now, put a pin in it and think about it. Think about if you really need it, because at the end of the day, like, you are the only person who cares about how much money you have and what you're spending it on. And so taking accountability for what you are consuming, and not every vlogger is going to make that, like, um what's it called when you
Disclaimer?
yeah,
Distinction?
disclaimer. Oh my god. My brain. Like, not every YouTuber is going to make that disclaimer. And, like, so you have to know if you are particularly vulnerable to certain people's suggestions, like YouTube made me buy this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
um you I think it means that it's time to really you know
Re-examine
look
your relationship.
exactly. Yes, that's what I was looking for.
So while we're talking about vloggers, I also want to talk about that vloggers live lavish lifestyles, and it is okay if you cannot also afford to live a lavish lifestyle. And as someone who watches a lot of New York City vlogs, the apartments that most vloggers are living in, I could never afford. At least
Right.
not at what I'm currently being paid. It's
Mhm.
unrealistic. And I don't feel bad about not being able to afford it because they live differently than me.
Right.
And just important to remember that, especially when you're doing wish fulfillment, that like some things
Yeah.
may not be attainable for you, and that's okay. You just need to adjust your expectations.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, like, I think, um, there's a reason that the statistics about social media usage and depression, anxiety are what they are. Like, you you have to protect yourself from unrealistic expectations and, you know, from media in general. Like, like, you have to find out what's best for you and your mental health. Um,
Mhm.
and, like, hopefully, um, if that's not something that you've really thought about, then, I'm hoping that this is kind of a good start off point for something to chew on, up, you know, surrounding this topic.
So I think that just about wraps up what we wanted to talk about here today. So let's transition into silver linings.
Yes.
So T, what is making you happy?
Well, I this is something I started doing at the beginning of lockdown, but I started, like, collecting seeds from different fruits that I was eating.
Right? That's a
And
lot, but
I
sure.
know, stick with me, hold on. Um, but I threw some of them into a pot and was like, I'm just gonna water this and see what grows. And I have strawberries that just started spotting up, and I'm so excited about them. So yeah, I'm excited about my plants, of course, because plant mom. And then the other thing is that I did just start painting for the first time on glass, and that has been really fun, and I'm excited to get back into that later after we record.
For those of you, because you guys can't see it, but I've seen her outline. It looks awesome.
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon.
Um,
Maybe we can get it posted to Instagram after it's done.
yeah, I
Wink,
should
wink.
I should get back onto that Instagram.
Don't judge us. We're bad at social media.
It's fine. What's making you happy, Jen?
Well, this actually is connected to the fact that this is our first pre-recorded episode of Growing Up is Overrated because I'm going on vacation next week.
Yay!
So yay! Thank God. I am so ready to go on a vacation. And I'm going somewhere
Yeah.
where there's no cell service and I'm not going to be using like my computer or video games or like any kind of technology for a week and technology detox time. And it is going
Live
to
in
be
the lake.
Oh, it's gonna be so relaxing. I'm so ready for it. But yeah, so we recorded this episode in the middle of July, and it won't be coming out for 2 more weeks. So hello, 2 weeks from the past.
Yes.
So thanks for listening to this week's episode, everybody. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, we can be found at @guio.pod. New episodes will be released on the first Tuesday of every month. Please subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We hope you'll continue to listen to us talk about our lives and hopefully learn something about yourself too. And remember, growing up is overrated.